It's zombie takeout, dude. It'll lift your spirits, but not knock you out.
What's up? Welcome to episode 211 of Zombie Takeout,
Zombie takeout.
the B-Movie and Cult Movie Podcast. I'm Uncle John.
And I'm Scotto.
And before we get to this week's movie, we've got one news story from Cinema Blend. Kevin Smith says the Weinsteins passed on Clerks 3, reveals plans for a Tusk spin-off. Speaking with Screen Daily via Variety, Smith has revealed that Clerks 3 has hit a major glitch now that the Weinstein Company has passed on his pitch. The filmmaker apparently went to the studio with a very low figure in mind for a budget, but was turned away saying that the price tag was just too high. Said Smith, "I went in with a $6 million budget, and they were like, oh no, Kevin, that is too high." Bob offered us distribution, but they weren't going to finance it. So if Clerks 3 isn't going to happen, what will Smith's follow-up to Tusk be? Apparently it's a spin-off called Yoga Hosers that follows a pair of characters only featured in the Walrus-themed horror movie for a few short moments. Says the filmmaker, like Tusk, Yoga Hosers sprang out of a podcast. There are these two characters in a convenience store in Tusk that you see for 5 minutes. Very Rosencrantz and Guildenstern. I've built a whole movie around them, and I've brought one of the other characters from Tusk back. Tusk is being released by A24 and is expected sometime this fall.
I was going to say, I haven't seen Tusk yet.
Yeah, well, on to Clerks 3 first, briefly. If they passed on $6 million, they have no faith in the movie.
Yeah.
That is a minuscule budget.
Yeah, that is pretty low. I mean, and this guy, come on. He made, the most profit out of a film, it's a story, it's ad nauseum.
And he's been working with the Weinsteins since Mallrats.
Yeah. Well, they bought Clerks to distribute.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. So from Clerks then.
Yeah.
And they've turned him down. Wow.
Yeah. Film that he spent $27,000 on to make who knows how many millions.
Yeah. And they won't give him a $6 million budget. I didn't really want to see Clerks 3 anyway, so this is good news to me.
Yeah, I couldn't really see where he'd go with it and why it was needed.
No.
To do it again.
2 ended perfectly.
And is this follow-up to Tusk going to be just Clerks in another universe then, if there are two convenience store workers?
That's an interesting supposition. I'm just wondering about Tusk, because I haven't heard about Tusk before.
Yeah, I'm not really familiar with what it is either. I haven't listened to his podcast in a long time.
But Walrus-themed horror movie sounds really interesting to me.
And, to think, his podcasts are really good, too, so I really should be getting around to hearing some more of his stuff.
And Yoga Hosers.
Yoga Hosers.
Hosers. I'm guessing it's the Bob and Doug McKenzie thing.
Yeah.
The only time I've ever heard Hosers.
My guess there is some sort of Canadian thing going on there.
This just sounds beautifully self-indulgent.
Oh, yeah. Well, this is a guy that said he was retiring.
Yeah.
He was going to leave film a couple of years ago, right?
Well, yeah, and it was way before Clerks 3 or Tusk. He was going to go out with the hockey movie, Hit Somebody.
Yeah. Which I don't think he even did he? Wasn't it somebody else's movie?
I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it's been released.
Oh, yeah, maybe that's what it is. There was another hockey movie, maybe, and that's why he didn't release it.
Well, there was one called Goon that sounded kind of similar.
Yeah.
Sean William Scott was in that. I've heard good things about it.
I think he may have scrapped it or shelved it because of that.
Possibly. And now Tusk is going to be his final movie, and Clerks 3 was going to be, I don't know. I think it's an Ozzy Osbourne retirement.
I think so, too. I didn't really believe he was leaving the film anyway.
No. He was at most going to take a hiatus.
Right.
So, upside, Clerks 3 is dead, and we're getting Tusk, which sounds amazing, and what could be a beautifully self-indulgently bad follow-up about people in a convenience store. And that's really all we know about them. and they're like
Yeah.
Rosencrantz and Guildenstern in the original. So it's Clerks in a different universe mixed with Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are dead.
Wasn't Clerks Rosencrantz and Guildenstern?
Well, that's true. That's true.
I mean, that's the whole point of it. I think he even makes a joke in Chasing Amy about Jay and Silent Bob, in the comic book,
Oh yeah,
you
yeah.
know, that where like Rosencrantz and Guildenstern meet the guys from oh God, Waiting for Godot.
Right, right. And in hindsight, amazing references
Yeah.
for a cheesy comedy.
Oh, definitely. That's what we love about Kevin Smith.
Yeah, yeah. As self-aware, annoyingly self-aware as his dialogue gets sometimes, he does have great references. Anyway, on to this week's movie, which is from 2013, or, well, originally 2011.
I saw copyright 2012.
I think maybe the original release was going to be 2012. It is Knights of Badassdom, and then of course that brings us to the impromptu plot summary, sponsored by the Necronomicon Ex Mortis. It really gets around.
And also brought to you by Peter Dinklage, because you can really never have enough Peter Dinklage.
Mhm.
And this movie did not.
No.
He,
Surprisingly so.
yeah, yeah. Um, so what do we have? We have LARPers, of course, and
And just for those who may not know, LARP stands for live action role play. It's basically extreme D&D.
right, and we have a metal lead singer of a metal band who wants to follow his dream, man, but has the chick who just disapproves, and so she dumps him, and they figure a great way for him to get over this dumping is to have him LARP with them. So they take him out to LARP, and for some reason, the person who plays the wizard uh, got a spell book, a real spell book,
The Necronomicon Ex
pretty much
Mortis.
the Necronomicon he bought from eBay, which it, it really worked.
Mhm.
So uh, their dungeon master or game master in this case said in order for him to play, the wizard had to cast a summoning spell for him to summon him and to bring him along. And when he cast this real spell, it really brought forth a demon, and then the demon starts picking people off, eating people. There's some splatter,
Mhm.
and I'm trying to think of when to actually bail on this because it all gets pretty
Well, the demon starts killing people. They continue with the LARP until they realize people are dying, and
well,
then it leads to a confrontation.
right. They continue with the LARP until a lot of people die, until they figure out that a lot of people are dying,
Mhm.
and there's the big confrontation that, of course, uh, there were some rednecks that were pissed off earlier in the film who want to break revenge on the LARPers, and of course, they all meet together at the Battle of Evermore, and hilarity ensues.
Mhm. Now, we have to get into the backstory a little bit. I first saw a trailer for this in 2011 when I first started listening to Trailer Clash. They
Yeah.
reviewed the trailer. That was 3 years ago, and it was only released late last year. It's been in development hell since then, several re-edits.
It shows, I think.
It only, to me, really showed in the intro that whole introduction where they explain the book, that was added after the fact
Yeah.
to help mainstream audiences understand it.
And the intro, it was terrible, honestly, because it was just the beginning of Evil Dead 2.
Yeah, it was just an old guy doing a voiceover about the book and some flames.
It was the same Sam Raimi animation with the book.
Mhm.
It was just line for line Evil Dead. I
Yeah.
mean, that was kind of embarrassing.
And then throughout the movie, there are various place names that are put on the screen in a chyron, and when they're explaining the hit points in LARP, you see the plus or negative numbers come up on the screen. Again, it was just ways to help mainstream people understand what was going on. I really didn't think it was necessary.
Well, that I liked. I liked the name bit. I don't
Okay.
know. I'm a sucker for the name bit since Orgasmo, I
All
guess,
right.
in Hollywood. But no, I liked, whatever it was, and in parentheses, the parking lot. I was kind of hoping that the hit point thing was going to be even be used like later on in the movie as like a plot point thing, but they just did it for that one scene and that was it.
To me, it felt like they were trying to dumb it down.
Oh, it was also kind of, joking because, when you're really fighting somebody, how do you tell if someone's losing hit points? So to actually put that into the live action world, I thought had a lot of possibility for something funny, almost like the kill count in
Yeah.
the Killer Tomato movie.
Right. Now, the actual start of the movie proper was a great head fake, the sacrifice scene.
Yes.
Because the only thing that gave it away for me is I recognized Steve Zahn under the hood. And he's one of the LARPers.
Yeah.
Other than that, I would have bought it as this, demonic cult sacrificing somebody. It turns out it's the LARPers doing this. I don't know exactly what they were trying to do.
I don't know. Well, they were trying to appease a god.
Yeah, it was just, more of the LARP.
Yeah.
And then right after that, of course, the paintballers show up, and that was, the scene where they got pissed off at them because the LARPers were in their forest as they saw it.
Yeah.
And there was a great nod to Evil Dead. They find the book, and it goes facehugger on one of the paintballers.
Right.
And I love that scene, but I kind of wish they hadn't explained the book or really given away that it was evil that early.
Yeah. I think the intro did ruin it.
If they had waited until the actual summoning scene, it would have been a bit more of a surprise, I guess.
And then to find out later, after you find out that it's evil and it works, that he just something he bought off eBay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Although I did like when Joe, Ryan Quanten's character, is the metal guy, is explaining to his girlfriend about the different genres of metal.
Right.
That was a nice touch. Because those are actual genres.
Oh yeah, of course.
And that's one thing I have to say about this movie. They really did their homework.
Oh yeah. Well, I think it was more than just doing their homework. I think it was,
They're actually in the culture, I think so too.
yeah, oh, definitely.
Because, and I've said this about Big Bang Theory before. I eventually got to a point where I realized they were laughing at the geeks, not with us.
Of course, but this one is just pandering.
This one laughs with us.
Just as a pandering to the geeks. This is, they're checking all the right notes to get the geeks to, buy into it.
But you don't get that thorough, particularly with the rules of LARP, unless you, like you said, they're in the culture.
Right. And from what I read, that they actually had the actors, play role-playing games, before I forget how many weeks before leading up to the film. They thought Peter Dinklage was the best. Of course he was, because he's
Oh,
a
he's
good
Peter
actor.
Dinklage. Yeah.
It's like I played some stickball, and that Babe Ruth kid I think was the best of them.
Yeah.
I mean, what the fuck?
Yeah. Now, I do have to nitpick, and it's not exactly science, but I guess it's a bit of physics. Early on in the film, his girlfriend breaks up with him. And, he goes home and he's sulking and he's got his guitar and he's playing. And Joe takes a guitar pick, wings it across the room, breaks a picture frame. You can't throw a guitar pick with that much force.
Of course.
I don't care what it's made of. I don't care how hard you throw it. You're not going to break glass with it.
I don't know. It was some sort of, 1980s metal video breaking glass kind of thing.
Well, they did a lot of 80s metal videos, particularly at the end,
Yeah.
which I loved.
Oh.
I think we're going to disagree on this one.
Oh, I think so too. I thought that was really bad.
That's the thing. It was bad. It was enjoyably bad, which is what most of this movie is.
I don't think that's what they were going for, though.
It was a total nod to Dio and, to other typical 80s, cheesy goth
Yeah,
metal
I
thing.
mean, they threw a King Diamond reference in there.
And a Rush reference with Temple of Syrinx, which I loved,
Yeah.
of course. And I liked how they got him to the LARP. Because they didn't try to convince him, he didn't agree to it. They got him incredibly stoned, and next thing, he's there in the van at the LARP.
Yeah, they shanghaied him.
Mm-hmm. And this gets into, they shouldn't have given away the book so early. I
Of
was
course
wondering
not.
why he was the only one who could see the evil cloud. When Eric, Steve Zahn's character, is reading the spell, or singing the spell.
Which was a good part.
Yeah. Joe is seeing this evil cloud and, his ex-girlfriend's face who turns into a demon. And I was wondering why he was the only one who could see it. And if they hadn't revealed that the book was evil, it would have been much better because shortly thereafter they explained that Hung, Dinklage's character, had slipped him some shrooms.
Right.
You could just think he was tripping, and it was fake. And then suddenly this succubus actually shows up.
I didn't realize just how much that intro really did kill it. I mean, I hated the intro,
Mhm.
but you're right. Plot-wise, it really does kill a lot of this movie. They could have had a pretty good head game going
Mhm.
throughout it, for at least the first half of it. And yeah, that intro just kind of stomps that all out.
Well, it didn't really kill it because I went into the movie knowing the plot. It's a bunch of LARPers who accidentally raise a real demon.
Well, of course, I didn't go looking for the plots, so I knew it was about LARPers,
Oh, okay.
but I
You
didn't
didn't know
know.
about the demon at all.
Yeah, I didn't know about the real demon.
Oh, okay. So it really did kill it for you. It's hard for me to say how much it killed it because I agree. Certainly, it would have been better if they didn't establish that the book was evil. But because I already knew what was going to happen, it's hard to really tell how much it killed it for me.
Yeah.
I did think though that after Serenity, Summer Glau's fight scenes were a little anticlimactic.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they were fun, but nothing obviously compared to what she did in
She had
Serenity.
like one good one in the whole film, really. It was very, very brief.
She swung her sword around a couple of times.
The only real good one she had was when they were on their way to the car
Yeah,
to get something that, Steve Eric forgot.
yeah. And they run into a couple of guys, and then she just takes two of them out
Right.
very quickly. Fun to watch, but anticlimactic after Serenity.
They didn't have the time to go
No.
into
Yeah.
the choreography that they would for that,
And Gwen, her character in this, is not a trained programmed killing machine. She's a chick who's done a lot of LARPing, who's good with a sword, or good
Yeah.
with a fake sword.
Yeah.
I did like that they didn't waste time bringing in the succubus, though. I figured that was going to be halfway through the movie.
I don't know. I think the succubus is a pretty weak part of the movie, really. The whole, picking off people and just, oh, what is this thing?
Well, the actual killings are just an excuse for some gore. It's the scenes that lead up to them that really are the funny part.
Yeah,
Because
I
you see
mean,
the characters' reactions to her.
it was just, it may have happened too early because they really didn't have enough to work with there. I don't know what they could have done if they hadn't brought her in, of course. I don't think they had enough to work with on the other side either, so I think they were in a pretty bad situation there.
I enjoyed all of those scenes. Again, it was the reactions to the succubus that were the fun part. The actual killing was just okay. She pulls out their hearts or bites their heads off, and I did appreciate the gore.
Yeah, the gore was nice. Like the one where she killed the green monster actor
Mhm.
who has like this role on the show. Oh, what's it called again? Scandal.
Okay.
As like this attorney and everything, and here he is. We're improv workshop my ass
Mhm.
kind of.
He did look kind of familiar. Okay. I was also surprised to see Danny Pudi from Community in this one. I didn't know he was in it.
Oh, right, right. The people they had in this, I mean, they really could have done something amazing with. Like Jimmy Simpson,
Hmm. I really did like him. I've never heard of him before this, but I liked his performance.
probably my favorite performance I've yet to see him in. He had this weird role in House of Cards this season,
Okay, I need to catch up
and
on that.
I'm trying to remember what other things he's done, but most notably, I think he's, of course, Lyle the intern from Letterman show,
Oh, okay.
which were always just these awkward, nowhere bits. Like, it was just kind of like, it was just beginning the phase of Letterman. Why the fuck is he doing this? But yeah, this I thought was good. I think he played this role
Yeah.
to perfection.
Now, there was a bit of a surprise about halfway through the movie, specifically when they killed a particular character who I did not expect to die that soon.
Ah, I kind of saw it coming.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I guess when he first confronts the succubus, it kind of gives away that, yeah, he's gonna get his ass kicked.
Yeah.
Because he can see exactly what she is and just attacks her. She sidesteps, and yeah, you kind of know he's done for. But I just because of who he is, I expected him to last through the entire movie.
Well, because of who he is, they couldn't afford him for the entire movie, probably.
That's a good possibility. Good point. Then again, he might not have been who he is when they made this.
Ah, this is like after Elf, at least, and he was somebody when Elf was, when they did Elf.
Yeah, but should we continue trying to talk around it?
Well, I don't think. I mean, no, we're talking about it. We brought up Elf.
Yeah.
It's not fucking Will Ferrell or Artie Lang
Yeah.
or uh, or what's her name, the new girl.
Spoiler. Dinklage buys it halfway through the movie.
Yeah, it really puts a damper on the movie too.
It was a surprise for me, but I wouldn't say I put a damper on it. I missed him because it's
It
Dinklage, but
it wasn't a surprise, and he was the best character in the film, of course. And yeah.
I did like what they did with Gunther after that because he was just the wordless muscle before then. He
Oh,
takes the helmet off, and first off, Brent
it's,
Gibson,
it's
who
a
plays
different actor, isn't it?
well, it's two actors, one with the
Yeah.
helmet on, one with the helmet off. Brent Gibson, who plays him with the helmet off, is a really good actor.
Yeah.
And I loved that he was this guy who completely committed to the game. He was always in character.
Oh, there were those people.
And those people really exist. That's
Oh
the thing.
yes. Oh
And
yes.
and I was reading some of the comments on IMDb, and everyone who liked it said it appeals to a very niche audience.
That's the thing. It's pandering to that niche audience, though. You know?
Targeting or pandering?
I'd much rather be laughed at in The Big Bang Theory than pandered to in this, you
I
know?
didn't get pandering. I got this as a love letter to LARP and a variation on Evil Dead. It's a guy who accidentally raises a demon
Oh,
with a book.
it I mean, come on. It's a knockoff of Evil Dead,
If
though.
you're
They
gonna
were
redo Evil Dead, LARP is the perfect place to do it because
right.
that's where you're gonna have a guy really reading from this book. It's the perfect place to set it.
I don't think they were paying tribute to it. I think they were stealing from it.
Stealing the basic idea, just doing a variation on it, and also paying a lot of tribute. In fact, the weapons gathering scene was another nice, like, direct reference to Evil Dead.
Yeah. We we've seen the weapons gathering scene.
Yes, it was obvious, but that was the funny part of that. It was a direct, obvious reference.
To do this after Shaun of the Dead, though, is kind of like you're really on old stale ground, you know?
I don't see the comparison.
Well, Shaun of the Dead did the Evil Dead 2 thing already.
In that particular scene, yes, Sean did
They,
that
they've
way more
done the
differently.
weapons gathering scene. In fact,
Yes.
I'm trying to remember, there was another movie that did the weapon gathering scene too that we've reviewed. And, it's just, there's only so many times you can do it before it's kind of like, we get it.
Oh, you're just talking about the weapons gathering scene, not the movie in general. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, but in this case, and I think in Sean too, it was a deliberate, obvious reference. It wasn't trying to be original at all. It was just, yeah, here's the Evil Dead reference,
Yeah. It
which I
just,
enjoyed.
it's getting formulaic,
I got a kick out of how obvious it was.
But how many times can we see it? Like,
I
how,
always
like,
enjoy it.
if we see it again, is it gonna? I mean, it loses something after it's done in a number of films,
I've only seen it in those two, outside of Evil Dead, of course.
right?
So, one that I saw 5 years ago the last time, and now this, it's not too often for me. Because I haven't seen Sean since we reviewed it, which was, in the first 20 episodes. Now, another thing that made the intro completely unnecessary, Quack, Jimmy Simpson's character, completely does that exact exposition, explains the book toward the end of the movie,
Yes, exactly.
which is
Right.
why I think that beginning was tacked on to help mainstreamers understand what was going on if they don't get the references.
I don't understand why the need to appeal to mainstreamers in the current market that we have,
Because more people, more money.
but they're still not going to get it.
Well, no, it was a failed attempt.
Right. You really think that, oh, we've added some explanation here. Mainstreamers are going to sign on to a LARPer movie.
No, no.
I mean, no. they're just going to hear LARPers and they're going to tune out.
Or they're just gonna have no clue and no interest.
Right. They're not going to have an interest in that. I mean, they might see it on, a cable channel or Netflix if it gets enough buzz. But by then, I mean, they're not going to make the same money off it. So
No.
it just doesn't make any sense to well, we got to make sure people understand what's going on here.
But given that Kwok gives that whole spiel toward the end of the movie already, that was the director's explanation of it. That beginning had to be some executive saying, the average person needs an explanation at the beginning. And so they tacked it on. It had nothing to do with anything that was planned for the movie, I don't think. That's my
Yeah.
supposition.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it didn't really belong.
Now, I did really like the pre-battle speeches as they were coming toward the big fight with the demon.
Right.
The
The,
two armies in the LARP are gathered, and their generals are giving them these rousing, Braveheart style speeches
of course.
as the monster is lumbering toward them, and the good guys are, gathering the weapons and coming to fight the demon.
And somebody even comments about King Diamond's voice.
Mhm. And the fake battle scene was hilarious when they actually have the two armies, the LARP armies, when they're beating each other with the foam swords. That I got a
Yeah,
huge kick out of.
of course. I mean, if you've ever seen LARPers, that is pretty much it.
And I gotta admit, I not only respect LARPers, I envy them. If I was 20 years younger and could easily run around the woods with a fake sword, I would be doing LARP.
Ah,
So, that's maybe a difference in opinion here too.
I mean, it's fun. I, you know, I did it when I was a lot younger. We didn't really dress up though.
Uh,
We just beat the shit out of each other with sticks.
well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a more formal version of that, I guess.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It was a very Lord of the Flies type thing.
Uh, I did think the monster was a bit cheesy looking. It was obviously a guy in a suit.
Oh yeah. I didn't have that much of a problem with that, really.
I can't really decide if that lent to it or not. Was that charming that it was so obviously a guy in a suit, or did that take away from it a bit? I really can't decide on that.
I think the problem with the film is that it didn't have a strong enough purpose to it, you know? I think they had the makings of a really good comedy here that they tried to do a little too much of the horror action kind of thing. And I don't think they really had the stones for that, you know?
Plenty of gore, surprisingly high body count. What else do you want?
It just wasn't very convincing, though, any of it, you know? It was just kind of, it all felt tacked together and disjointed and just, I think if they had just kept to the LARPer story and less of the demon story, I think they could have really had something here.
But then where does it go if it's just about a bunch of LARPers?
It goes with the LARPing. It goes with the Battle of Evermore. Or if they do summon the real demon
Mhm.
to not be as Friday the 13th about it, you
But
know?
that's the fun, is they did go so Friday the 13th.
Ah.
The homages are half the movie.
Yeah, it's pretty much all the movie, really.
Yeah, okay, maybe three-quarters. But I enjoyed the homages. I got a kick out of that. Speaking of, the ending. Now, the whole basic premise is you have to sing the passages in the book to raise the demon,
Yeah.
do the supernatural stuff. The book gets destroyed. Joe, the heavy metal singer, decides that one of his songs will do the job. It will get rid of the demon. So they put on a tape, and he grabs something and starts singing into it.
It was Sucker Punch all over again.
But it was deliberately cheesy and deliberately bad.
You know, I hope that was deliberate.
Oh, it had to be. It was a complete nod to every cheesy 80s video. It was
Yeah.
Dio all over again.
The power of the metal.
And I loved that shit as a teenager, so I was eating it up.
Yeah. That was embarrassing, too.
And of course, it was also an excuse to bring Dinklage back.
Yeah.
All right, I'm done with my notes.
Yeah, I too.
No sequels, obviously, because it came out last year, or remakes. Probably not going to be any sequels. They tied it up pretty well.
Yeah, and I don't think it's gonna make enough to.
Oh no, it wasn't in the theaters for very long, maybe a couple of weeks.
Although, if they make more Dungeons and Dragons movies, why not more of this too?
I have a feeling this is going to be a cult favorite.
Yeah.
Because
Uh,
we are indicative of everything I was seeing on the IMDb forum. You love it or hate it. It's very polarizing in that sense.
and I'm kind of down the middle on it if we're into getting to
Oh,
brains.
okay. Yeah, on to brains.
I mean, I really liked the humor in the movie. I think the humor worked really well in it.
Mhm.
The action horror part, not so much.
I think this is another case like Troll Hunter where we were looking for different things.
I came into this with pretty damn high expectations, and why not? With the cast they had,
There's another difference. I came into it with very low expectations because of 3 years of development hell and a ton of re-edits.
yeah,
I was not expecting much.
I think it really shows that this got butchered in development.
Mm.
Like if they had just stuck with one concept, I think they really could have had something here, but all over the place. So I'm going three brains.
All right, and we did this backwards. I really loved it. I can't give it a 5 because it was flawed, the whole thing with the book and introducing that too early and the obvious what to me seemed like obvious additions with the Chiron. But still I loved it. I did not feel pandered to. I felt like it was a love letter to nerds. I'm going 4.5.
Yeah, because nerds, they just aren't getting the attention they deserve these days.
More is better. And what have we learned?
No, seriously, just cast Dinklage and put him in every fucking scene.
Yes. And you still have to catch up on Orphan Black, but I've
Yeah.
decided I need to see something with Dinklage and Tatiana Maslany in it, and just nobody else, just those two actors. And I learned that you can never underestimate the power of metal. All right, so until next week, when we'll be reviewing Nothing Lasts Forever, this is a movie that was made in '84 and never actually released.
Wow.
It was never theatrically released. There have been some screenings. It made its way onto YouTube, which is how we're reviewing it. So that'll be interesting. It's a science fiction movie that doesn't star, Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd.
Have we done a Bill Murray movie before? I can't even remember.
I don't think so.
Huh. I'm thinking there was one. The Tim Burton one we did.
Oh yeah, he was in Ed Wood. You're right.
Ed Wood, yeah, yeah.
All right, until then, go to zombietakeout.com, check out the album art, the episode description, of course, the episode itself, which you're already listening to. Links to find us on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and YouTube. Links to subscribe via RSS and iTunes. Please leave us a rating and a review on iTunes. We'd really appreciate it. You'll also find the movie list, every movie we've reviewed so far, and every movie we're going to review, up through 218 right now. The request form, if you've got a movie you'd like to hear us review, please leave it on the request form, and the recommendations list. I had a feeling we were going to split on this one. So I wasn't expecting it to make it. You can also email us, zombietakeout@gmail.com, or leave us a voicemail at 414-368-CT01, or for the alphanumerically challenged, 414-368-9861. Of course, always remember that you will always be calling from the middle of Milwaukee, and until next time, always remember, never forget, wherever you go in life, there you are.
There you are.
Please, don't make me rethink this.
The 3 questions I put at the end of the plot summary or the episode description all the time. I wrote them all before I even watched the movie, and they still work. Did all of the re-edits hurt the film? Does Summer Glau have any fight scenes? And can we just go ahead and give Peter Dinklage all of the acting awards already?
Yeah.